Sherry Thomasula, DTM, has been an active Toastmaster since 2011. She has participated at many roles throughout Toastmasters, including youth leadership, club coach, LACE coordinator, international speech contestant, Area F4 director, and past Division G director. Sherry is a passionate financial coach who works with individuals and businesses needing help navigating their finances, from budget development to increasing their savings. Sherry feels people are empowered when they embrace the philosophy of learning by doing. She also believes that it's important to never stop learning, and we realize we are all just a work in progress, even when it comes to speaking and leadership. Let's welcome Sherry Thomasula.
Yay. Welcome, everyone. I hope you're as excited as I am for today's workshop. My promise to you is to bring the energy and provide you with some good information and a few activities to work through this afternoon. So it's going to be chock full of various information, and you're going to be busy. So make sure you've downloaded the templates. I believe Daniel was going to place those in chat in a little bit. Or if you haven't had the opportunity to do that, just grab some couple sheets of paper, pens, fantastic. If they're multicolor, that's even better, because as you can tell from my office, I love lots of color. Today, we're going to uncover 3 keys that are simplistic in nature, but not always simple to execute when it comes to creating and sticking to our goals. I'm going to ask that we all kind of open our minds, dream a little bigger today in order to plan our goals a little better, keeping these 3 keys in mind. Now, when I was first asked to deliver this presentation on instructing people how to be their best self, I laughed and I thought, who am I to tell you how to be your best self? As you heard in my introduction, I'm a financial coach, and I mostly work with people on helping them eliminate debt, grow their savings, and honestly, really just learn how to budget properly. And it's fun and I love it. However, what you didn't hear was that I also have a degree in behavioral sciences, which means I find all of you fascinating. And what fascinates me most is discovering why people do what they do and what people who achieve their goals do differently. My goal today is to get us to examine goals that we may have set in our own lives, but we have yet to achieve. I just read a quote the other day that 80% of New Year's resolutions have already fallen by the wayside, and we're only at the beginning of February. I want you to be able to walk away today with a personalized game plan and an understanding of what you may need to get there. I am passionate about encouraging people to think and dream a little bigger. So you're going to hear that dream big a few times throughout this presentation. We have 3 activities to work through today. First, I'm going to show you a blank template. Then I'll explain how the activity works. And lastly, you'll see a completed sample on the screen to refer to when we have some downtime to work on our own goals. I have some music to listen to, so if you hear something coming through your screen, it's nobody bleeding through, it's coming from me. Hopefully you enjoy my music choices. There are no rules. This is for your own personal development. So be free and just enjoy the process. We're going to jump right into our first activity. And it's going to give you the opportunity to get comfortable. We're all friends here. We're all Toastmasters. So we can loosen up. We can feel a little bit freer while thinking about what our big goals are.
Sherry?
Yes.
We haven't downloaded.
Pardon?
The keys to becoming a better you. There seems to be a problem in accessing it.
The templates?
I posted it. Anyone who joined it joined later might not have seen it, so I will post it again. Maybe
Okay.
I was able to
one couple of minutes to download and print this out if you want. Like Sherry, you want to do that?
Yeah, if you want to post it in there now, that's perfectly fine. You can also use paper. The templates should be available for you to download. So if you don't have them right at the moment, that's okay. We can use paper, plain blank paper.
Right.
I think everyone should see it now. I know 2 people came in late and missed it, but everyone should be able to see it. If not, you can just use a blank piece of paper and draw this shape, and then you can just start with that. Like you just need a pencil and paper. In fact, that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to leave my chair to go get the.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm going to keep talking.
Go ahead.
I'm going to keep on going. So again, you can use blank paper or check the chat box and Daniel will put the downloads again in there. But essentially, your first sheet is going to look like this. If you have the template, fantastic. If you don't, all you need to do is take your sheet of paper, hold it vertically, and draw a T with an lopsided right side to it. You want a little bit more room on the left side of your T. And I would like all of you to think about a goal that you're currently working on achieving, or something that you've kind of dreamed a little bit about pursuing. And if you're uncertain of what it is that you want to work towards at this moment, perfectly fine. It may come to you as we work through the process, or it may come to you next week. I just encourage you to be kind and a little patient with yourself and just follow along and enjoy the process. Now, you don't need to write this down, but I just want to give you a feel for what you're going to do next. So at the top is going to be your big headline. Your headline is essentially going to be the congratulations of your goal. So the headline underneath is going to be your subheading. Underneath that, you want to keep room for a sketch. And underneath your sketch, you're going to have a section called report, which is just going to be a few bullet points. And then to the right is going to be quotes. I promise you the next slide will make it clearer. Okay. So again, to start off, think of your goal, what it is you're trying to achieve. What is the headline that you can envision when you achieve that goal? And that is going to go at the very top of the page. I want you to describe your extraordinary success in one catchy, attention-grabbing headline. So that is going to go at the very top. Now, there's no judgment. There's no right or wrong. This is your personal success. What it looks like is completely up to you. For example, I was recently challenged by a close friend of mine to write a book. So I'm going to use this example as we follow along. Next, under the headline is a subheading. And this reveals a little bit more of what the story is about. Then I want you to draw an image that correlates with your vision of what that big success is. And then following that, under your vision, you have 3 to 5 bullet points that describes a little bit of the highlights or detail of your story. And lastly, the column to the right is going to be quotes. So I'm going to leave my example up on the screen so you can follow along. And again, there's no right or wrong. It's just what you envision for yourself. And remember, dream a little big, think big, and think about things that you've been trying to accomplish that maybe you haven't quite gotten there yet. So work on that. I'm going to give you about 3 to 5 minutes. We're going to listen to some music and think about it. This is your time.
Can I come in, Sherry?
Yes.
Yeah, this is the plan which we want to achieve, or this is a plan which we have recently achieved?
What you are hoping to achieve, something that you have not accomplished.
Okay, okay.
That you're working towards. We'll give it about 30 more seconds. How's everybody doing with that? Do we all have something on the paper? Okay. Keep that close by. Thank you for the thumbs up. I appreciate that because then I know where everyone's at. We're going to wrap that up, but keep your headline close by because we're going to build off of that as we move forward. So I was at a loss as to where I should start my search for these simple yet amazing keys that we're going to discover today. So I did what any normal person would do, and I started scrolling through TikTok. If you know, you know. If you don't know, let me fill you in. It's one of the latest time wasters of the social media world, but I love it. As I sat with my coffee, mindlessly scrolling through TikTok, I came across a very inspirational young woman who's on a mission to lose 100 pounds, and she's down about 90 pounds right now. Her name is Natasha Mcpherson, and I thought, wow, you know, that's impressive. Let me check out her story. And she was explaining the actions that she was taking to achieve this momentous goal. Her story was simple and resonated so deeply with me. I thought, wow, that kind of has to be part of my workshop. And while her weight loss is admirable, it actually isn't what kept my attention. In her story, she casually mentioned that she's doing a free program called 75 Hard, which immediately caused me to Google 75 Hard. Now, as you can see, the objectives of 75 Hard are simple, and 75 Hard is not meant to be a fitness program. It's a program meant to develop our mental toughness. And the key component happens to be our very first key today, which is consistency. Does anyone remember the game of Chutes and Ladders as a kid? I might be dating myself here. But essentially, you started out at the bottom, and the objective was to make your way to the top. If you rolled the dice and you happened to land on a ladder, you could surpass a couple of the rows. If you weren't so lucky, you would hit a chute or a slide and slide right back down to the beginning. That's 75 Hard in a nutshell. If you miss one of the several daily objectives that you're required to complete each day, you go right back to day one. Trust me, it's not for the faint of heart. It's extremely humbling, and I've had to start back on day one several times over the last couple of months. So why is consistency so important? According to Andrew Deutscher, Managing Director of the Energy Project, a performance improvement consulting and research firm, Consistency is one of the most powerful tools you have. Your brain actually craves it. Consistency not only powers you through the day-to-day so you can reach goals, but also makes tough routines automatic so you stay motivated. But let's face it, consistency alone gets dull. Spur of the moment experiences and novelty is what keeps us engaged. They tap into your brain's reward center, providing hits of pleasure. And as a result, you're more invigorated and inspired. The question is, how do we balance the two? How do you stay consistent while providing those little hits of pleasure so that we stay motivated? And there actually are a few different techniques that you can use, or a few things to keep in mind. First, you want to make sure that you have established a really solid base with your consistency. You want to make sure that you've strung together multiple wins in order to stay on track. Once you feel like you have a good base, then allow yourself to deviate from time to time. Otherwise, without that, small disruptions can seem like failure to us, which then will derail us. Know when you've outgrown your formula. We all know when something's working. We have, indicators that show whether it's weight loss, if we're hitting a plateau or working out. We have different things that we know that, okay, this is actually working. If you've outgrown that formula and you feel like it's getting stale, make necessary adjustments so that you can stay on track. Super important. As Toastmasters, one thing I'm sure we can all relate to is how frequently we give speeches. Personally, it's been longer than I'd like to admit since I've given a formal speech in my home club. But having consistency in my speaking definitely makes me more relaxed and confident speaker. So now I want you to look back at that goal or that idea that you've chosen for your newspaper. Is it something that you've been trying to accomplish in the past, but maybe you haven't been consistent with? I want you to take a moment. We're going to take just a quick minute, and I want you to think of different ways that you could be more consistent. So just jot those somewhere on your headline paper and keep it close by. Just think of 1 to 3 ways that maybe you haven't been consistent or you can stay more consistent, and just keep it handy. So take a minute and jot a few of those down. Okay, somebody give me a thumbs up. Are we all good? We have a couple of those ways to work on our consistency. Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. The second key that helps make a major impact when working towards achieving our goals is curiosity. And I don't mean that nosy body neighbor type of curiosity. One of my favorite videos is watching a group of today's young people, today's youth, trying to dial a rotary phone. They had no idea where to begin. And honestly, some of you may have no idea where to begin. I don't know. But you know what? They were super curious and they remained persistent and trying to make it work. And the reactions are just priceless. And then it reminded me of how old I am. And I went back to scrolling TikTok just to make myself feel a little bit. No, I'm just kidding. But curiosity is said to be the heart of lifelong learning. There are numerous TED Talks and videos on the correlation between curiosity and success. And when it comes to personal exchanges, curious people are perceived as warmer and more attractive. It makes you a more interesting person. Curiosity is a thirst for knowledge. It's the need to hunt for answers to questions. What is this? How does this work? Can you imagine if we never asked any of those questions? It's an important mental exercise because it requires a mindset that helps people move forward and do new things. And it starts them on a new path of discoveries. Curiosity propels us into the unknown. Imagine how boring our Toastmaster meetings would be if everyone gave the same exact speech in the same exact format every single time. It would be terrible. It's also said when you're curious about life, you'll find a greater sense of meaning as well as greater life satisfaction. So why? The life of a curious person is far from boring. There are always new ideas and new worlds to explore, which open up possibilities that may not be visible if we're not curious. All right, we ready for our second activity? We're going to examine our chosen goal or dream a little bit more closely. And as we proceed, I encourage all of you to get super curious about what drives you, curious about what could possibly be stopping you from achieving your goal. Remember, this is your time to sit back and reflect on that. So either grab a second sheet of paper or grab a template if you're able to download that. And we're just gonna turn your sheet horizontally, and we're going to create something that looks like the screen. So the important details, you are going to want to draw a sailboat, and the sailboat is going to represent you. Next, you're going to draw an island. The island is going to represent your goal. The sail of the boat is going to be the actions that we need to take in order to sail towards our goal. And lastly, add an anchor, because the anchor is going to represent barriers that you might encounter while you're trying to reach your goal. So now we're going to take a few minutes. We're going to complete our scene, and I used my example. I kept, oops, sorry. There we go. Write your name on the boat, because remember the boat is us. Write your goal next to the island. Again, the sail is going to be the action, so you can either fill it in the sail, next to the sail, wherever you have room. And then again, the anchor is going to be your barrier, so wherever you can fit those. And I'll leave the sample slide up for a reference, and we'll take about 4 to 5 minutes to give you an opportunity to kind of bring that all together. Okay, we all good? All right, we're going to go with a different choice of music, something little bossa nova. Oh no, we're not bossa nova. There we go. Have about 30 more seconds. Okay, does everyone have something on their boat and their goals and their barriers? Good. All righty. So several years ago, I gave a competition speech about my kitchen table and how it was key witness to the trials and tribulations of my family's life. And one of the stories I shared had to do with job loss. And I can instantly remember the struggles and feeling of stuckness that I experienced as our family moved through that period of time. And I also remember, though, how important it was to find moments of joy during that time. And one particular story that wasn't part of my speech that comes to mind, though, was my husband's birthday. And for those of you that know me, I love to make people feel special. So skipping a birthday just wasn't going to be an option for me. My children and I took our last $20 and headed to the dollar store and set out to create an amazing birthday celebration for my husband. And I'll never forget hunting through the store, finding ridiculous gifts like this bright yellow Minion piggy bank. My husband loves Minions, a cheap sun reflector for his car, and all sorts of colorful birthday supplies. It was festive. It was bright and a memory that I'll never forget for less than $20. We found joy in the moment, but we also discovered the last key, contentment. We were joyful in that moment, but more importantly, we were content. And why is contentment so important? Contentment brings peace of mind and a positivity that facilitates our growth. It helps relieve the unstuckness. A favorite quote of mine is from Theodore Roosevelt: "Comparison is the thief of joy." How can we be joyful or content if we're constantly comparing our circumstances to that of someone else? We're robbing ourselves of the joy that we can be experiencing with our friends and family on a daily basis. But let's clarify, though, being content doesn't mean settling. I don't know if there's any Ted Lasso fans out there, but Roy Kent, don't you dare settle for fine. Think of finding contentment as putting an end to strife, not putting an end to your striving. You don't want to ever stop improving. It doesn't hinder you to better your condition in this world, your family, or your career. You may want more, but as long as you appreciate what you have, there can be no wrong in seeking to better yourself. So that's super important. And as the saying goes, be thankful for the life you have while fighting for the life you want. While doing that, though, give contentment a special place in your life, because discontent benefits no one. All it does is push you towards negativity, which harms not only you, but your friends and your family as well, to those connected around you. Finding contentment in life is the key to happiness, and it brings us peace.
Sherry, can I come in? You had given a quote now, just 1 minute back. I want you to repeat it. Now, in this last paragraph, you had said one quote. I want you to repeat if you can. Something like about contentment. Now, in this contentment, in this last 3 lines before that, you said one statement.
Oh, Now I have to rewind in my head while you're putting my Toastmaster skills to the test. Let's say
Okay, okay, listen to the
about
replay. Okay.
giving contentment a place in your life because discontentment doesn't benefit you, or being
no issues.
thankful.
I will go through that replay later on. Okay.
Okay. I'm like, wow, you're gonna test me. So, you know, finding contentment it gives us peace of mind. It just brings us peace in all aspects of our lives. And a contented mind is free of turbulence, which leaves more room for us to engage in positive thinking, which brings us to our final activity. So far we've taken time to dream a little bit more, come up with our goal. We've jotted down some of the actions and possibly some of the barriers that we may encounter along the way. And so now we're going to move forward and we're going to try to pull that all together. Okay. So if you have the template, fantastic. If not, got a clean sheet of paper. And this process is called sticky steps. And essentially turn your paper horizontally and draw a bunch of squares if you do not have the template. Very similar to what you see on your screen. Okay, we are going to start by writing our goal as far right as we can. This represents your end goal or where you want to be at the very end of this accomplishment. And then I want you to ask yourself, what would have to happen just before this for me to succeed? Write your answer in the square directly to the left of your end outcome or goal. And then you're going to repeat that question. What would have to happen just before this for me to succeed? And keep moving a little to the left and a little to the left. If you find sometimes we have things that have to happen simultaneously, and that's perfectly acceptable, you can just branch off and start creating another path that will run side by side with the beginning path. So you can have multiple lines. There's no problem in that. This is your goal. So think of what you need to do to back into that. And we're going to repeat the process until you get all the way to today. And when you have all of your sticky steps in place, you should have a starting point. And I want you to think of the plan you need to put in place in order to begin at that starting point. So I'll leave the sample up. We're going to listen to a quick 80s song. We'll give you about 3 minutes and start filling in your sticky steps. Oh, that is not 80s music. There we go. How are you guys doing? Do you need a little bit more time? Are you still thinking about what you need to back into? We good? We're good? Yes.
30 more seconds.
Okay. I'll give you 30 seconds. Okay, how are we doing, everybody? I know that it's kind of difficult to do with a group because my intention is to give you that breathing room. I know when I'm trying to create or think or plan, it's nice to have a moment to just let our minds relax and think into it. And other people are like, boom, boom, boom. So there's a little bit of a balancing act when you're trying to present to a larger group, but you're all doing great. Hopefully you all have something written down. And if you didn't make it all the way back to your initial step, that's okay. You can do it after words and, you know, go back and revisit some of the things that you've written down. Remember earlier when I said the keys are simplistic, but not simple. Practicing consistency, curiosity, and contentment in our daily lives will give us a greater sense of empowerment, direction, and calmness, especially when it comes to executing our goals. My wish is that you have before you a clearly defined action plan that you can take with you and move forward with to achieve any goal you set for yourself. If you're doing something big, I would really love to hear from you. Drop me an email, friend me on social media, tag me. I'd love to be one of your cheerleaders. I'm always excited to see people working on some amazing projects. And honestly, I appreciate all of you, and I can't wait to see what you choose to accomplish. So that pretty much wraps it up. I